Linda O'Neill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's not N-I-E-L, it's N-A-E-L?
EAL. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Mm-hmm.
E-A-L. And what was it? Remind me your title, like what you go by, your like label.
My label, I would say tarot reader. I used to hide from that, but tarot reader, tarot therapy.
Tarot reader,
Yeah.
and like the tarot reader and owner of tarot therapy, or what
Yeah.
do you how do I
Like
pitch
it's
that?
Austin Tarot Therapy is the name of my little thing. But I can't call myself a therapist, so I can't say tarot therapist, right? Because I don't have a license. I have a certification in NLP.
Right.
Yeah. So
So would you say tarot reader at Austin Tarot Therapy?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Linda O'Neill, tarot reader at Austin Tarot Therapy.
Yes.
And do you want me to say anything about NLP coach?
No, no, because I don't really practice NLP, like the stuff with that anymore, um, because it's kind of broy, but also I just use it so I could have some sort of certification,
Mm-hmm.
so that I could be listed in Psychology Today to get clients. But I don't. There's definitely things I love about NLP, but it's not my favorite modality.
Okay. We won't say anything about NLP. What I will say is that this is kind of, we're continuing the discussion of woo-woo therapy,
Okay, that's fine.
right? Because remember Phil failed at woo-woo therapy?
Yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
this is kind of like, how do we learn more about Linda and the way that she
Mm-hmm.
approaches woo-woo therapy,
Yeah, sure.
and how I could start to like learn from that and maybe bring woo-woo therapy into my own life.
Yeah,
Does
absolutely.
that sound cool?
Yeah, perfect.
So and think about this for 1 second. I've been we can do it at the end, but I've been trying to work on hooks with my guests
Mm-hmm.
and starting the videos with a hook before I even roll the intro credit, the
Mm-hmm.
intro kind of title sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, I've been watching a bunch of these videos on how to
Right. Yeah.
increase things, and they say like hook them real quick and then
Yeah.
retention.
Yeah.
So if as soon as they click on it, the first thing they see is some hook content.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe either at the end, when we've like talked about all the things we've talked about, we could think of, one or two lines we could say to the camera.
Yeah, like
Like, this is what
is
you're.
tarot in I think a good hook might be like, is tarot in conflict or in harmony with therapy?
Yeah. Yeah. And like stick around to find out if
Yeah.
tarot
Yeah.
or is in harmony or in
Mm,
conflict with
With
therapy.
yeah.
And maybe find out
Because I'm
how.
gonna do a video called that. So, but I don't mind you using that hook. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
when
because
I
what's that?
release all
Yeah.
this, I'll like
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
cross promotion across the
Okay.
board. So we don't have to. We'll do it at the end.
Okay.
So we'll be influenced by everything that happens now. But I
Okay.
like that. A
Mm-hmm.
little tension, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it in conflict? Is it
Or
in
yeah.
harmony? I like that. So you need anything before we start?
No.
Okay. Let's clap together. Remember that?
Yep. Let's see. Hmm.
Yeah. Welcome to Phil Fails. My name is Philip Jones, and today I have a returning guest, Linda O'Neill. She's a tarot reader from Austin Tarot Therapy.
Right.
And say hi to everybody.
Hello. How are you?
She's
Glad to be
returning.
here.
Yeah. She's returning because Phil is going to continue to fail at woo-woo therapy.
I don't think there's any such thing as failure, but yes, let's kind of talk about woo-woo therapy.
Yeah.
Woo-woo therapy is so needed right now because it's the back door to therapy. It's so hard to find a therapist. Are they aligned with my insurance and all of that? But there's something to it because today I was booked solid. There are people who are seeking services who need to talk. And I like to use my practice in Buddhism to help people get more mindful, to help people feel comfortable in their stillness so that their minds are not running amok.
Yeah. You use Buddhism in
I
your
use primarily
woo woo.
yes, and I know that I have an NLP certification, but that really is a certification so that I can seem legitimate because I didn't want to go to back to school to get my therapy license.
Right.
So I'm not a therapist, but I am a practicing Buddhist and not a perfect practicing Buddhist. Nobody is, right?
Right.
Um, and I use mindfulness and all of that and, strategies in NLP to help people kind of become more still and more comfortable and help them manage their emotions better.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
imagine you draw from a lifetime of knowledge. If you guys watched the interview we did first, you would know that Linda was a teacher,
Mhm.
right? And then NLP coach and oh, a card you did card, what was it called where you would read off
Cartomancy? Yeah.
cartomancy
Yeah.
and then now doing the tarot reading and I imagine you draw upon all of those.
Right. I would say all of those and a couple of things like okay, so I primarily use I love the cards to sorry, it's been a long day. But
Yeah.
I call on spirit guides, my spirit, your spirit guides,
Mhm.
right? In the reading. And we do a lot of inner child work and we do a lot of focus on generational patterns and generational trauma.
Hmm.
And if you really kind of think about generational trauma, because it's a big word that people use a lot today, but and I actually prefer the word generational patterns, but it becomes pretty woo woo. So, for example, and I got this from the book. It Didn't Start With You. It's an amazing book if you want to heal like parents with your relationships and whatnot. But there's a lot of really important takeaways from that book. And one takeaway from that book is your worst fear said in a sentence becomes a life sentence if you don't cut attachments.
Mm.
And that made so much sense to me. And if you do a timeline of your life from birth to what age you are now, and you do your parents' timeline and your grandparents on both sides, you will find that there are patterns that repeat themselves. And the only way to break that generational pattern or that generational trauma is to open up, shed light, and cut the attachment. Because a lot of those attachments, our worst fears, they don't even belong to you in the first place.
Right.
So I did a timeline of my like, just to give a short example, my father was sent to a mental institution at 14, and my sister was sent to a mental institution at the age of 14.
Before he went to into the armed
Right,
services?
yeah.
Before he
So
met your mom?
before he met my mom, so at the age of 14, he was put into a like an institution. Same thing happened to my sister,
Really?
right? At the same age, at the age of 14.
Whoa.
I have a client who stopped talking to her father at the age of 10. Her mother, when we did this exercise, she learned stop talking to her father at the age of 10. And if
Whoa.
she's not careful, she's going to have a daughter who will not talk to her father at the age of 10. Another crazy example. So that kind of stuff kind of gets like, ooh, that's woo, that's crazy. But it's true. So another example is I have a client whose mother was sexually assaulted when she was 10 years old. She told her parents didn't believe her. So when her mother had her, and when she turned 10, she started to get really, really sick, and nobody could find out what was wrong with her. And they would send her to doctors, travel across the country to find out what was wrong with her. And it was almost as if the doctors didn't hear her in the same way her mother wasn't heard.
Right.
So, in order to break these patterns, we have to cut the attachments. And so, like I said, excuse me, because it's been a long day. How does this relate to what I do in tarot therapy and
Mhm.
Buddhism? Because I use Buddhism as well. And so in Buddhism, it's all about cutting attachments,
Right.
right?
Non-attachment.
Right. Because some of your attachment doesn't belong to you. And the only way to be free sometimes is to live in the present moment, but also to cut attachments. And so I want us to look at this card right here, which is my Buddha card, right?
4 of
For
Cups.
Four of Cups. And so there's two ways of looking at this card, right? It could be a man, and is he meditating or ruminating, right? So a
Mhm.
more positive view might be that he is meditating, like Buddha on a tree.
Mhm.
Like meditating and waiting for the offer to kind of show up. And so when you see this like um
It's
this
like a
cup,
cloud
it's like a
coming.
cup, but it's also resembles the Ace of Cups, like a new beginning, right?
Because it's a cup by itself.
It's a cup by itself, right? And it's up to you to, like, if you meditate and you sit with it, if it comes to you, it's up to you to see it. Or this man can be ruminating and ruminating about the past or ruminating about the future.
One's like a still mind meditation, or one that's
Mhm.
actively with, thoughts as clouds in his mind. The other one is pensive, kind of being
Mhm.
tortured by thoughts.
Right. And so the only way to kind of see the solution, otherwise, if you're ruminating, you're going to miss the opportunity because you're ruminating too much. You're in rumination, right?
Hmm.
And you could be ruminating about the past, which is depression, or you could have anxiety about the future,
Right.
which keeps you from seeing what is actually in front of you.
Right. The
And
present
so, in
moment.
the present moment, right? And so, when we kind of tie in all of these, like, cutting attachments in Buddhism, and then like getting guidance from our spirit guides through cards, it can be really helpful for my clients to kind of get to the, like, what might take a year in therapy, we can do it in a session sometimes. Everybody who leaves my trailer feels clearer, feels calm, feels better. And I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
And I pray every day before I do my readings and I ask my spirit guides to guide me so that I can help my clients leave my trailer feeling clear, feeling safe, feeling heard.
Right.
And
It's almost like a meta meditation, this like
yeah,
loving kindness meditation.
right, right. Um, because I do think that we have guides who are guiding us, who are assigned to us, but sometimes, they're so far removed from us that it's hard to really hear them. And it's also really hard for us to trust our intuition because of just life
Yeah.
kind of erodes all of our intuition sometimes.
Can we talk about the guides just for a second?
Yeah.
Um, I interviewed a father, Father Bill W.,
Mhm.
and we talked about finding an inner voice, and
Mhm.
he does it through two-way prayer, this like two-way conversation with your intuition, or
Your
some inner
gut.
voice is what he
Yeah.
called it. And
Mhm.
then I interviewed this other guy, James McCrae, and we talked about, you know, finding your intuition, your, I forget what it was, but it was similar.
Mhm.
And I wonder if guide's the same thing. It's not it's not a vapor that comes and says,
Right.
"Linda, this is what's up."
Right. Right.
It's some inner knowing that's
Right.
somewhere here,
Right.
that it's the guide and not a shadow in some way. Is that?
Right, 100%. I think an easier way sometimes to kind of look at it to help us kind of tap into it is well, first of all, I don't think anybody really truly knows. I think that there are mediums out there who more align and more in touch and can maybe kind of see, like, okay, what happens in the afterlife, but truthfully, we don't know, right?
We don't know.
We don't know. And that's okay. But the one thing that we all have in common, right, regardless of religion, philosophy, woo woo therapy, is that we all know that we have our gut. Our gut kind of is our second brain.
Mhm.
And it kind of like, it's our intuition, right? And so, one way to tap into that, that's super easy, is to ask yourself when you're making decisions, is this what my brain wants or is this what my soul wants? Because your brain is, and this is science, this is not woo woo therapy necessarily, but it's all aligned that your brain is there to keep you safe. So it doesn't matter if you're in a situation that is shit stew. The fact that you've been in shit stew for so long, it's what the brain knows and it's going to keep you there. So it's going to keep you there because what else is out there? Better to know the devil than the devil you know rather than the devil you don't, right? That whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So it keeps us stuck in situations that are not good for us because at least it fucking knows what's going to
Because yeah, I
happen.
figured this out.
I
I'm
figured
gonna
this out.
stay in this like less
Right.
than ideal situation because it's the one that's familiar. I know how to navigate it. I know
Right.
where the bathroom is. I
But
know where the
is it what your soul wants?
yeah.
And so, like, for example, a lot of people come in for career, and they're at a dead end job and you know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
doing this instead of whatever,
Yeah.
and like, I hate my job, da, 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 like, but I need the financial security, or I like the nicer things in life. I've
Yeah.
grown accustomed to that and I don't want to give that up. Right.
Right.
But so what does your soul want? Your soul wants to explore and be curious and learn about cameras and lights and interview people that are interesting. That's what your soul wants. And yeah, it's scary, but it's what your soul wants.
Right.
And I guarantee you that if you do what your soul wants without anxiety about the outcome, you're going to be so much happier.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when people are like, you know what? Okay, fuck it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to listen to my soul. But if I want to work this hard at what the soul wants, then I need to see this outcome. But once you start focusing on the outcome, you're focused on the future. So you really
Right.
got to stay stuck in the process.
You're not in the present moment because you're
Yeah.
in an uncertain future.
Right.
And that's difficult
Yeah.
when you think, oh, sometimes I do fall into this like, how's it going to monetize? How am I
Right.
going to find that
Right.
pathway? And then I'm not thinking about how I can make the best this present moment
Yeah.
experience.
Right.
Like this one with you, or when
Mhm.
I'm just setting up lights, or when I'm editing, it's like it's all about that moment. And if I continue to make those great,
Mhm.
things will happen.
I'll tell you what, whenever because like who quits their job as a teacher to become, a tarot reader, right?
Right.
And a successful one. I mean, I make my living doing this. And so the times where I struggled, I really wasn't struggling, but like in my head, I was struggling, right? And the times when I was trying to, like in the beginning of my journey of trying to figure out and like doing the right things and what steps and whatnot, when I focused too much on the outcome, that's when I made mistakes because that's when I got desperate. And desperate energy doesn't give you anything good, not a good man, not a good home, not a good house, not a good wife, not good nothing.
You're desperate.
Yeah, you'll get something, but
You'll get
you
something.
won't
Right.
get nothing good. So you really have to let go of that outcome energy, that desperate energy, and just trust that whatever the fuck you're doing, that it's going to happen the way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy the process as you're doing it.
Relax and enjoy the
Yep.
process, like Ram Dass said.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
Mhm.
And then there's some amount of, it might not be this, right? Who
Mhm.
knows what it is? But if I start going the direction of passion, the direction of aliveness, the direction of,
Of what your soul wants.
yes, I might not get to choose what that outcome is, but the universe will, like Paulo from The Alchemist, he said,
Mhm.
when you, I'm paraphrasing, when you start living the life that, that your soul wants,
Mhm.
the world, the universe will conspire to support you in that.
I think I don't know if we talked about this, but Matthew McConaughey and Snoop Dogg were in a movie together, and it was Harmony, like who directed it. It wasn't a very good movie, but I mean, I enjoyed
Harmony
it.
Korine
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually liked the movie, but a lot of people didn't. I forget what it's called, but there was one line that it was my mantra for about a couple of years.
What is it?
The universe is conspiring to make me happy.
Yeah.
The universe is conspiring to make me happy. The universe is conspiring to make me happy. And it's like, oh my God, the universe is conspiring to make me happy.
It kind of trains your mind to focus on happiness.
Hmm. It really does. Because, it sounds so simple, but the alternative is that you're training your mind to focus on sadness.
Right.
That's lame.
Where the attention goes, the energy flows.
Right, right. And it's not just like new age stuff. It's not just woo therapy. It's not just, um, optimism and all of that. What it is that it's rooted in every philosophy, in every religion, and all of this stuff, right? Like, I think, or most the good parts of religion, that trusting God, trusting
Yeah.
yourself, trusting to have faith that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And every time we start to like, oh,
Got
worry about the outcome,
anxious energy.
the thing is that anxiety gets a bad name and it's overused. Sometimes I think what people need to do with their anxiety or these hard feelings is to not see it as something scary or bad or like, why am I doing this again? but it's an alarm bell that something in your life is not going well, and it's time to kind of like, okay, I'm ignoring a problem. What is it?
Yeah. What needs my attention in my
What needs,
life right now?
yeah,
What
and
needs some nurturance or support or maybe
yeah,
some transformation?
right, right. And sometimes we'll feel that anxiety, but these are not things that we should be afraid of. These are things in a way that we should welcome because it's like, okay, I'm not in alignment somewhere. I'm ignoring a problem. I'm pretending things are okay when they're not. What's going on? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Some awareness
Mhm.
is needed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I mean, we do tarot cards, but that's basically what we talk about in the trailer is how do we tap into that, you know?
And so folks, when they come in there, they have something at the tip of their tongue, whether it's job or they
Y
kind of have something.
You know what? They don't sometimes. A lot of people don't. I know that, so I don't read with, like, a question. You don't have to have a question
Right.
to see me.
I don't read with questions either.
Yeah, it's just like, let's see what happens in the
And
cards.
how do the cards that
Mhm.
are revealed there
Mhm.
resonate with my life,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, and, so, yeah, we just kinda go from there. And again, I think it's, regardless of you believe in like I'm tapping in or not tapping in or I'm a charlatan or anything like that. It is a way to get people to feel safe and heard and seen because like, oh, like they see it in the cards, right? And I think that's important, you know? I think it's important to help people open up. Some interesting things happen in the trailer, like so I like to believe that I am tapping in, but I'm okay with people who don't believe in it, because even if you come into the trailer and you're like, "I'm a skeptic," you're gonna get something out of it.
Well, I imagine they're getting at least these things. They're getting your full attention,
Mhm,
your focused, trained attention,
mhm,
and then active listening
mhm,
and reflection. You're going to reflect back
mhm,
what you see in them, whether it's physical, verbal,
mhm.
you're going to, and, I think that is such a foundation that's supportive. It's like a
Mhm,
supportive foundation, just, good, healthy, positive attention
mhm.
that's like there to support and to help. And then someone that's listening intently and reflecting back and giving, you know,
Mhm.
some, what is it? It's like a feedback loop. Or what are you seeing here in me
Right, right.
with your trained eye?
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, today I had he's like, "Full disclosure, I'm a skeptic," you know?
He said, I'm a skeptic.
Yeah, and that's fine. That doesn't rattle me at all, and we talked about some really deep shit, and it was awesome,
Yeah.
you know? Um, yeah, I think when it comes to woo-woo therapy, though, I do wanna talk about some things that you should watch out for
Okay.
because, just like when you see a regular therapist or, whatever, um, you want to feel good when you leave. You
Hmm.
want to feel like it shouldn't hurt, you know?
Yeah.
Even though sometimes like talking about these big feelings hurt, but it's a release. So you want to stay away from, especially like with woo-woo therapy, because they're not trained therapists, right? Uh, that that you feel better when you leave, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not feeling better, if you get energy work and you don't feel better, then that is a sign that you don't need to go back because there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken and they didn't fix you by moving some energy around, right? It is much more than that. I think that that stuff helps, right? If it's done by the right person.
We're talking about energy work, like,
Energy work, somatic healing, all of that stuff. Any kind of healer that's ketamine therapy, anything, anybody who is guiding you through um, like an experience,
mhm,
that is off brand or like a little, I guess, out there.
yeah.
Um, because the mind is so powerful that you want to make sure that your energy healer or woo woo therapist, you want to make sure they're not planting bad seeds. You don't want anybody to plant seeds of doubt that there's something wrong with you,
Right.
that you need to be more like this or
Yeah.
that, you know? This is about growth, right?
Right.
And a lot of people, even energy healers who are really, really good, and I think they'll say this too, is that, and when people call themselves empaths, and I do think it's a real thing, but I also think it's overused, that we're human and especially if we're working in the spirit world, this is, it's new. It's not the norm. It's new energy. It's whatever. We
Hmm.
don't really know. Like we don't always understand. So you have to be careful if you are projecting your own insecurities.
Yeah, because you live a life too. Like you might have
Right.
had an argument earlier that day or some kind of tension from your own
Right.
environment. You got to cleanse all that and come in some
Right.
fresh in some way, which is
Yeah.
almost impossible.
Well, I mean, you can do some, I mean, I think I'm pretty good at blocking, like not personalizing the energy and not um like if you're an energy healer or if you're any kind of like, and you get overwhelmed by a lot of energy, then it means I think you need to do some more work on yourself before
Hmm.
you start to work on other people because um you just don't you got to be very, very, you got to make sure that you are protecting yourself um and protecting them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, from your negative energy if so yeah, but you would just want to be careful. Anybody who sells you like some spell to get rid of your generational curse is complete bullshit, you know?
Anybody who leaves you with some spells.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, because I think I mean, okay, not complete bullshit. I do think, I mean, I don't understand
There
enough
could
of.
be some mantra they could leave you with, like much like that movie left you with a mantra.
Right, right. But I guess like there is I think I won't say the name, but there is a psychic out there. Um and you see them for a few minutes and then they will talk about a generational curse and try to sell you something for like 200 to $500.
Well, there's a classic, tarot in this new age is different. When I was growing up,
Mhm.
tarot was associated with like gypsies, and it seemed like it was always something where it was like cold reading or even hot reading someone,
Mhm.
which are these kind of, they're associated with magicians, right?
Mhm.
With mentalists,
Right, yeah.
being able to read someone and
Mhm.
just judge from their responses whether or not they were onto something,
Right.
and then utilize those type of tools in
Mhm.
order to take advantage,
Mhm.
to then sell them on their insecurities or sell them on,
Right.
you know.
And there's these big things that like, you know, I mean, they're just some really human thematic things that we are all kind of going through that um who isn't suffering a little bit, that
Yeah.
you can tap into if you're
Well, you're Buddhist,
right.
and I go to Buddhism services, and I
Mhm.
know the Four Noble Truths. So,
Mhm.
the first one is to be alive, to be human, to be
Mhm.
in this form,
Mhm.
is it includes suffering.
Yeah.
That's a part of the human
Yeah.
experience.
Um, and there's nothing to be I was turned off by Buddhism because of the suffering thing, but, I've come around on it,
You've come around on it.
Yeah.
Because before that, you're like, I'm not suffering. I
I'm a
don't want anything like
hedonist.
that.
I don't wanna suffer. I've suffered enough. Why would I wanna suffer? Why would I follow anything that involves suffering? Fuck that. I wanna
Which
have a good
doesn't
time.
well, it
Yeah.
involves breaking us free of the cycle of
Right, right.
suffering.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, to come around on
Right,
it.
you came
Yeah,
around.
yeah. Um, yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, I do think that I do a lot of good. I'm proud of the work that I do. And a lot of the people I see are returning customers or referred. And so like I'm proud of the work that I do. Um, and I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I think
You
because
were for a while?
I didn't want to be a tarot reader.
You
No,
didn't?
mm-mm.
Why not?
Because I was like, that's goofy. I don't want to do
What do you
that.
mean goofy?
I think that I wanted to be seen seriously. My ego was getting in the
Oh,
way.
like a professional or like a
Yes, I wanted to be a professional. I wanted it because I was a high school teacher for a long time, but I was really good. Like, I mean, well, I've won awards, and so, um, I won grants. I did really good work.
right.
Um,
And you wanted to do the same thing in this other area.
right, but if I was going to quit teaching, I wanted to become. That's where the NLP came from. I was like, I want to be seen seriously. I want to be like, like seen as a like the next Tony Robbins, but not really. You know what I mean? I wanted
Yeah.
some legitimacy, and I was like, tarot reading. Although I was good at it, um, I felt like who would take you seriously if you do? Like your friends are gonna laugh at you. Why would you do that? But once I embraced it and dropped the ego, I really love it.
You love it.
I love it so
You've
much.
got the coolest little space over there. I rode my bike by Yarrow and Sage the other day, and I saw
Hmm.
your little trailer,
It's so
and I
cute.
was like, I should pop in and say
You
hi
should
to
have
you.
said. You
I
should
should have. I
have.
was like on my grind,
Yeah.
but it was the coolest little. The whole
It's
area is really
Well,
cool.
inside the trailer is even cooler. It's like my inner child, my soul built that trailer. I mean, I rent it, so I just want to be very, very clear. I rent the trailer, but Jessica from Yarrow and Sage was very kind and allowed me to do whatever I wanted to do in that trailer.
Inside the trailer.
So yeah, so it is my inner child. My inner child, my 12-year-old self would be like, "You are the coolest lady I know," and isn't that like that's amazing?
Yeah.
Like, would your inner child be proud of you? Right? And
Yeah.
so I think your inner child would if they saw all of this stuff.
Yeah, having fun,
Yeah.
talking to cool people,
Yeah.
setting up cool
Yeah.
technology.
What's that?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
setting cool vibes.
Right. So just make your inner child proud and do what the soul wants. And like, life is great.
Okay, teach me a couple things about if I'm going down the path of woo-woo therapy, of facilitating and helping people in these ways. What are some of the things you do when someone comes in your trailer? Maybe it's the
Hmm.
first time you've met them. Do you have any kind of rituals that you have or ways you approach providing that support or connecting with them?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I do, I pray before, they come, like an overall prayer. But then I also I'll sit in silence and breathe and take in their energy and ask my spirit guides to come, ask their spirit guides to come, but I do it internally. So I'm
You
sure
don't you don't say it
I don't
outside.
say it out loud. I just do it for me, it works internally. And I always tell them, like, you can breathe with me or you can just watch. I don't care, but I'm just going to sit here for like 10 seconds. And so,
And so you're in that time, you're getting a sense of where they are energetically, like whether or not they're
no,
anxious or whether they're
no,
calm or
nope, no. I am literally praying for the spirit guides to show up
mm,
and
like
to help.
literally you're saying like spirit guides
Guys
show up.
show up, right? And I don't read people. I want to make that very clear
Hmm.
because we all have biases. Even I had this cute little blonde girl, she was just absolutely gorgeous. And you might look at her and say, oh, her life is perfect. The saddest life ever, but what the cards revealed very instantly. Don't want to go into details about what happened to her. But, like, biases, whether they're good biases or bad biases, or
Hmm.
they're still bias. And so I make sure I read the cards and what not pull from my life experience because my life experience is my life experience. And so I know you mentioned earlier, like you pull from these. No, actually, I pull from spirit guides and I just read the cards.
Okay. So when
But
they come in, the first thing you do is
yeah,
invite the spirit guides to come.
yeah.
And that's both your spirit guides, your intuition,
And
and
theirs,
theirs.
and theirs, right? And where I use like the Buddhism and all of that is like when we're like kind of talking through it, like here are some techniques that really ground me so that I'm not monkey brain,
All over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I use Buddhism, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I do that. And how do I know they come? I can feel it. I can feel it in my throat. It comes in my throat. And so Whether it's made up in my head or whatever, doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't ask those questions anymore because I don't want to, like, I trust myself now,
Right.
right? So I feel it in my throat, right? And
When they arrive, you feel it.
when I pray,
Right. There's stillness. You're both kind of quiet, or
that we're both quiet.
yeah.
I pray. It's like 5 seconds, 10 seconds long for
Hmm.
my and theirs to show up. And I start flipping the cards when I feel it, something in my throat. Like,
Then you start flipping some
then I
cards.
flip the cards.
Do you shuffle them, or
Yeah.
does the person shuffle them?
No, I mean, honestly, if they wanted to, they can. I don't have any rules about like you can't touch my cards or
You
anything
know,
like
some
that.
people have some specific shuffle rituals.
That's fine. If it works for you, that's totally
But
fine.
do you?
No.
You have a lot of.
Whatever happens organically happens,
Yeah,
you know?
that's the right thing.
Yeah.
Whatever happens is the right thing.
Yeah, they always ask like how, because I have like several decks and they're like, how do you know which deck to use? I'm like, I don't question. I don't like, ooh, I don't sit there and try to like make a decision. Oh, I want to use this deck. I
Well, it's
just
kind of
go.
like if you're shuffling and a card falls
I
out,
use
that was
that.
a card that
That
was
was,
meant to
that
be.
was the card that it's meant to
The
be.
same way, if I
They were
reach
talking
here
to
and
us.
grab
Yeah.
this deck, that was
Yeah.
the deck that was meant to be.
So funny. The guy who was a skeptic who came and saw me today, he said, he was like, oh man, because we were speaking truth. He was like, oh man, I feel like I'm being called out. And I was like, nah, it's the cards calling you out. I'm not calling you out. The cards are calling you out. Your spirit guides are calling you out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, but in a good way, in a funny way,
Right.
you know? And, yeah. So I don't read people. I read the cards. I pray for the spirit guides to come show up and I pray for mine to come show up. So,
And
yeah.
then you start pulling
And I
cards.
just start pulling
How
cards,
many do you pull?
whatever whatever it takes.
What do you mean?
I just pull cards. We start talking, and then I'm like, "Well, let's." And then usually, like, I'll give you an example. Like today, yeah, today I pulled a couple of cards, and I said, "You're in a relationship that ended, but it was supposed to be the one." And she was like, "Oh my God, yes," you know.
No way.
Yeah, and the reason why I pulled it was, like, the Ten of Cups, which is, like, a great, like, card, like, you having it all, but then there was I forget what the other card was, but it wasn't a positive card,
Right.
and so I do kinda like, and she was like, "Yes," he ended up having they ended their relationship, amicably. He's going through, like, his own issues and whatnot, but it was really frustrating for her because she was like, I just was supposed to work. This felt good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when that I pull that and she confirms that, I'm like, okay, I'm sure that you want to know um what he's thinking. So let's pull for that, or like was he being truthful about what he was saying? Because he's basically saying that I can't be in this relationship with you. I got to work on my own shit. Well, was he being truthful? Yes, he was. Like, and I would tell her like, this is what he's saying. She's like, that's exactly what he said. I'm like, okay, well, what we can get from that is that he wasn't lying to you.
Yeah. He
So
wasn't like just getting out of
he
it.
wasn't getting out of a
Yeah.
relationship. So you can like cut whatever like attachment that he didn't want me, cut that
Mhm.
attachment because it's not true. He told you the truth, you know. So what do we do with that? Pull some more cards.
And when you pull cards, the first one you kind of got a cold pull, and you're trying to figure out from the other what might be going on for them.
Right. And so yeah, the
And then there's
first
a
one,
flow chart that
right.
goes from there.
100%. That's exactly how it, right? So like the first, when I first flip, it's a cold read. Like I don't know anything. It's a
Yeah.
cold read.
And you're just like,
And
okay, I
then,
got this Ten of Cups, which is good, and maybe like
yeah,
I'm just gonna say the worst one, which is like the Death card. It's not the
yeah,
worst, but it's definitely
right.
saying
It's like,
like
okay,
the
there's a
end of
change at the
something,
end of
right?
something.
Transformation.
Right.
And
And
so you
so
put those
I think
together.
I was the death card actually, now that I'm thinking about it, but it's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, all right, this was supposed to be the relationship it's not,
Right.
and, and then sometimes like I'm like, oh my God, what happened? But, but so we get that. That's just with 2 cards. We get that. Cold reading, we get that.
Yeah,
And
and then once you figured out, then
but
y'all together on a
well,
line on
now
something.
she trusts me,
Right.
right? And so, because she's like, okay, yeah, like
We're on the same
we're on the
page. I
same
had this
page.
experience. Now you know about that experience.
Yeah, and so now we kind of like pull cards on how do we get through this in the best possible way?
Yeah.
Should we call him or, what does he need to do before he gets better? Should we move on? So those were some of the questions that we were pulling for. And basically like her cards were, you shouldn't wait for him.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what was the lesson? And I mean, I already know the lesson, but because just at experience, but again, I read the cards and I don't want to
Put yourself
put
into
myself
it.
in there.
Right.
But the cards confirmed what I was saying is that, the lesson is that you've experienced something that you want. Now you know what it looks like. And so now you're familiar with it. You've been waiting for it. You've experienced it. Now you know what to look for in your
Mhm.
next relationship,
Right.
you know?
Almost like if you're out foraging for something in the woods, like these
Mhm.
mushroom foragers,
Mhm.
like the first time you see it in the environment, then you're like primed to
Mhm.
see it more because you
Right.
recognize it in the environment.
Right,
So now
yeah.
you're like, okay, so now I know what to find.
I know, like, yeah, I know I want this in a person. I want somebody who may not be perfect in their self-help discovery journey, but is willing to learn. I want somebody who can communicate. I want all of that stuff. And so,
Hmm.
yeah. So it was, yeah. So that's kind of basically how it goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds fun.
It is fun. Yeah. It's pretty cathartic, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because y'all go together. It's like a little adventure you're on together with
Mm-hmm.
someone.
Mm-hmm.
And then you use a vast knowledge of the cards
Mm-hmm.
to just kind of flow with it.
Right. It's all about flow. And again, if you start to question yourself, am I doing good or blah blah blah, then um you lose trust within yourself, and so you lose your intuition, you lose a lot of different things. So you have to trust yourself.
I think one thing I need to do is memorize the cards. How did you memorize the cards and their
Well, that's
meanings?
cartomancy. Also, I have a workbook that I can,
You have a
I
workbook?
have a workbook on
What?
teaching people how to read the cards intuitively without looking up the meaning. Because if you're looking up the meaning, then you're not using your
I
intuition.
normally look up the meaning now when I do card readings,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing I would like to break free of because I
Yeah.
can also look at it and kind of
Get the feeling.
get the feeling from the picture, but I guess
You don't
there's a
trust
part yeah,
yourself.
there's a part of me that wants to be perfect.
Well, that doesn't exist. So,
Right? I get
so
that. Right.
yeah. But one way, like, is cartomancy is like just a basic understanding of numerology. So, 1 is beginning, 2 is duality, balance, 3 is like community, micro, 4 is stability. Think of 4 walls, right?
Mhm.
5 is conflict. It doesn't know if it wants to be 1 or 10. 6,
Conflict, yeah. The
right.
middle was always conflict the
Yeah.
longest, yeah.
6 is community, but on a much bigger level.
Because it's twice 3.
Right, yeah, and, 7 is, assessment, 8 is mastery, 9 is fulfillment, 10 is end of cycle. Now, you don't want these are just anchors. You don't want to, like, those aren't they're bendable, right? Because, um, there's just something they're just there, they're anchors so that you can use your intuition. So those are the 10, right? The 10 numbers.
Right,
Now, if you
that's
look
the
at
minor arcana.
Right, and now if you look at the suits, right, of the minor arcana, right,
Mhm.
arcana, however, they all have their vibes. So, swords, mental,
Mental, yeah, that's like your cognitive,
right,
like, striking with your intellect, your
mental,
intelligence.
intellect, anxiety, all of that. Wands, it's fire energy, right? Wands is all about like inspiration, right?
Inspiration,
Right.
creativity.
Yeah, all of that stuff, like what fires you up. Cups, all about relationships.
Isn't cups also resources, things you can hold?
I just don't make it complicated. Just
Relationships.
relationships, right?
Cups are
Pentacles
relationships.
are, about assets, all
Yeah,
right? So
money,
money. So let
wealth.
me tell you how you can. So in a regular deck of playing cards, right? The pentacles are diamonds.
Okay. Pentacles are diamonds. Diamonds is money.
Right, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The wands are clubs.
Wands are clubs.
Where do you get inspired? You go out to the club with your friends, you're social.
Go to the club.
Like you go to the club or you join a club, you get
Yeah.
inspired,
Yes.
right? Swords is spades. Spades is a very mental game. Have you ever played spades? It's a
Played a ton of spades. I
it's
like spades.
it's a mental
I
game.
was raised playing spades.
It's an
Yeah.
emotional game, it's a mental game.
Yeah.
And then the other and cups, right, are the hearts. So like
Relationships.
relationships, okay? So that's an easy, like if you can know like a regular deck of playing cards and cartomancy, you kind of got 40 suits already,
Yeah.
right?
Just because you know the numbers and then
And the vibe of the card,
and the
right?
suit.
So yeah, so like Ace of Cups, new romance or new relationship. Ace of Pentacles, new opportunity. Ace of Swords, a new mental perspective.
New mental perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense.
Okay, now here's another kind of fun learning tool, right? So I don't like to do time, but here's a fun way to do time in astrological science, right? So when you are, okay, where do you find diamonds?
In the ground.
In the earth, right?
Right.
These are
So
your
it's an
earth
earth
signs.
sign. Yeah.
Yeah. When you play with your sword, right? Your
In the air.
air
Air
signs.
signs.
In the summertime, oh well, I kind of messed that up. But in the cups,
Water.
water sign.
Because you put liquids in cups.
Right, thank you. And wand signs is all about, well, obviously it's going to be about fire, inspiration. It's your
Fire.
go, right?
Yeah.
Here's how you do the seasons, okay? Sorry. But when do what is the most expensive season of the year? Because you're buying
Here's probably the summertime because we're running that AC.
expensive season of the year because you're buying a lot of presents.
Oh, wintertime.
Wintertime. So this pentacle energy.
Pentacle energy is wintertime because you got those Christmas presents.
And then you're buying diamonds and whatever. So pinnacle times,
Pinnacles.
yeah.
Diamonds.
The cups with the water. When do you play in the water because it's so hot?
Springtime or summertime?
Summertime.
Summertime in the water.
The summertime in the
That's
water.
cups.
When you look at the Ace of Wands, you see the wand with the leaves, right? When do leaves sprout?
Spring.
Right, exactly. And then what's the other one?
Fall. We got the fall with the sword.
Yeah.
Swords.
Yep.
In the fall.
Yep.
Because what, you chopping down something?
Yep. See? Easy. So if you have those anchors, right?
Yeah. Little tricks.
Little
mental
tricks.
gimmicks.
Right. Yeah. But then you can use your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if I, without like looking at the card, if I say, like, what does the Four of Wands represent? What can you say about the Four of Wands? What do we know about the number 4?
Number 4 is stability.
Right.
It's 4 walls. That's stability.
Right. And so
Wands is the fire. That's intuition. There's creativity and passion.
Right.
So you found something that is alivening you right now, and you feel comfortable in it.
Right.
Is that good?
Yeah. Perfect. Done.
Bam.
Good. Yeah. So it's all about using your intuition.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you've probably been doing it a long, long time to get that flow and effortlessness to it.
I actually got that flow because I was forced to get that flow because when I was building my NLP practice, Good Thoughts, which I still have, I needed a side hustle to build that practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that side hustle was a tarot reader for the app Purple Ocean, which is a psychic app.
You told us, talked about that in our interview.
And so like I had to learn how to read really fast.
Because it was by the minute, right?
It was by the minute. And it was expensive for them and you wanted good reviews. So you had to learn your intuition. You had to. So yeah, you didn't have time to look up the definitions or the meanings or whatever.
Can we practice a little bit with some cards?
I'll let you practice. Okay, so
let's go.
Yeah, I want you to flip the cards.
Okay.
And I'll like just flip 3 cards, right?
3 cards.
And then you give me the narrative Also, I'm doing a workshop in a couple of months.
When are you doing a workshop?
At Yarrow and Sage, probably in July.
What's it called?
I don't know yet, but it's going to be a full workshop. How
Oh,
to
that's
read
gonna be
cards
cool.
intuitively, you know? And I'll give you my workbook for free if you join my workshop.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah. So,
People find you on your website too.
yeah,
They can find out how to get that.
austintarotherapy.com. Yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
AustinTarotTherapy.com. Okay, pull 3.
You pull 3.
Okay.
And so,
Do I pull all 3 of them and then talk about it?
we have,
7 of Cups.
okay. I
Ooh.
Okay, we have the 7 of Cups. I just want you
Wheel
to
of Fortune.
tell me, what is the narrative?
And
I'm
the
here.
6 of Swords.
Okay, I have what I would say. What would you say if you pull these cards for me and I'm coming to you for advisement? What would you
So
say?
Cups are relationships. 7 is wait, 6 was a big community. What was 7?
7's about assessment.
Assessment. So you're like assessing your relationship. So that's assessing relationships.
But read them
There's
all together.
I gotta read them individually first, Linda, and then
Okay.
I'll bring them all together.
Okay.
6 of Swords. 6 of Swords. That's a big community, but that's also your intellect, your
Mm-hmm.
cognition. So groups of people may be coming together to make a decision, and 7 was 7 of Cups. Okay, and then Wheel of Fortune. You're wondering what to you're wondering about where community plays a role in your life.
So perfect. Perfect. So I
Because
don't,
relationships
right,
and then
right,
you're wondering is this
right.
swords
Yeah.
and the community and
So
then
if you were to say that as a tarot reader, like, I would be like, yeah, actually, I am, right?
yeah.
But no, that's exactly how,
What would
like,
you have said?
I would have said something very, very similar, but like to me, with the 7, honestly, pretty fucking similar. So like the 7 of Cups, Wheel of Fortune, and the 6 of Swords, something about like you're having a hard time making a decision. You're afraid of making the right choice, so it's kind of keeping you.
Those are both sword energy, right?
Yeah, you're
Choices
but the cups right here, he
is
doesn't like.
relationship.
Yeah, like you want to make sure. But see, you're being too um what's the word I'm looking for? You're being too literal.
Yeah.
Be less literal.
Less literal.
Right. So just because it's the cups doesn't mean it's relationships, even though, but it's just the vibe.
Because they're all together.
It's all together, right? So don't be
Marrying them
so,
all.
yeah, we don't have to be literal. So I want you
Gotcha.
to you read them, read them together. So when I see this as like a really difficult decision, not knowing what to do, afraid to make a decision, but once you do, your luck is going to change for the better.
That's Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune, but it might involve you leaving a community, a bigger community, leaving something that you've known, and you're going to really have to trust your intuition in order to get there. But once you start to trust your intuition, instead of being kind of stuck here
Yeah.
and indecision, you're going to be guided in the right way. But
7 is indecision.
yeah.
Okay, let's try again.
So,
so good.
So like with assessment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in a way like you're trying to assess your future, I guess, right? But you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You're afraid. You're afraid of making the right decision.
You're afraid of making the
Or
wrong decision.
right.
Or the right decision. Or
Whatever
you're afraid
decision.
of uncertainty about the future of whatever
Right.
decision you
But
make.
once you trust your intuition, which is like this is kind of like being guided away, and being guided away, it could be like guided away from like cultural expectations, something like kind of bigger than or village or whatever.
Yeah.
But once you're being guided away, trusting your intuition, it's going to make more sense.
And guided away the imagery on the cards are helping those too. He's
Right.
he's leaving.
Mm-hmm.
This person is
Right, but if you look, right, we got rough waters over here and we got still waters over here, and that matters, right?
Yeah.
We got like almost all of the swords weighing heavy on her, that she's almost kind of lost, that she needs the guidance. And so the guidance could be her intuition, or it could be a literal person, whatever. But he's guiding your intuition, is guiding you to calmer water.
Right.
Away
to
from
water.
Yeah.
Right. I never noticed the rough water on the
Yeah.
bottom and then the
Mhm.
calm water on the other side.
Yeah.
And then this makes sense as assessment because we have like all these different things in the cups.
Right. Like
So
what
it's
could
like,
happen?
what's
Yeah.
going on in all of
Mhm.
these? And then Wheel of Fortune is kind of, yeah, what kind of fortune's going to play? I think of a casino.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen at the end of this?
Mhm.
Oh, man, that's so fun. Let's
Mhm.
try a couple more. I think we did good. Do, do, do. Do you do three or do you do how many? Or you just,
Whatever I want.
it just tells you.
Yeah.
So we got the Five of Wands.
Okay.
We got the Ace of Cups.
Okay.
So, and then the Empress. I'm gonna think outside first, and then I'll come to some kind of story.
Okay.
Ace of Cups is like new relationship.
Mhm.
The Five of Wands, right? Wand is, oh, that's something's challenge. It looks like they're fighting. All these people
Mhm.
are fighting.
Mhm. It's a conflict number, right? So.
Conflict with your passion or with your
Mhm.
creativity. So we got someone who has a new type of relationship. There's a conflict with creativity. And then Empress. Empress is a lady who, a
She's
powerful lady.
well, the Empress. So if you do the major arcana, the Fool is 0, right? And then
Mhm.
you have the High Priestess, which is your subconscious. You have the Magician, which is your conscious. Then you have the Empress, which is your mother, and the Emperor, which is your father.
Your mother.
Yeah. So she's very loving, very nurturing.
Loving and nurturing,
Mm-hmm.
starting a new journey with a relationship, and then conflict with your passion. Maybe maybe you're wondering if you're wondering where the excitement is in a new relationship,
Okay.
or
I mean, that makes sense.
where how does the mom play into that?
So it doesn't have to be you're
It
doing.
doesn't have to be all three. I
Oh,
yeah,
no,
I
no,
get
it's not literal too. Like, it doesn't have to be a mom, right? It could be somebody who's nurturing like a mother, who
which a
is very
partner could be, which a
motherly.
partner could
Yeah,
be.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And
Right.
so when you look at like, okay, so we have the Ace of Cups and the Empress. And so it could be like, because this is like the hands out, it's up to you if you want to accept it, right? So there is
The
a
hands
new,
out.
the hand
Oh
is
yeah,
offering,
holding,
right?
offering
But it
relationship.
doesn't, it's not guaranteed.
Right.
Are you willing to accept it or not?
Right.
So there is somebody, a new relationship maybe coming into your life, who's somebody who's very nurturing and loving, but are you willing to take it? Because you've got all of these minor conflicts. So if you look
Mhm.
at the Five of Wands, they're adolescents, and you got all of these like,
Childish conflicts.
yeah, like, you're making little things bigger than they need to be,
Mm.
you know, and and if you can get past the small stuff, this could be a very positive relationship for you.
Right.
So that's how I would read that.
You got some growth. There's some little growth that can
Yeah.
give big rewards.
Yeah, yeah, but maybe you're feeling like maybe you're the jealous type and maybe you're like it's a competition. Maybe you're feeling, it
Oh
could be a
yeah.
lot of different
You're so
things.
good at this, Linda.
No, it's like
Oh my God.
yeah.
You just crushed it. Okay, come on, three more.
Okay, I got one more minute and then I have to go.
Okay, we'll do
Yeah.
these. Okay, do them fast. Let's see. We got Two of Cups, which is duality of relationship. That's two, so it's a
Wait.
couple. We got the Ten of Wands. He's finally grabbing them all together and being able to hold those. And then we got the King of Swords. We didn't talk about the royalty in the suits, but I would imagine the King of Swords is like some like sovereignty, the sovereign.
Well, the way I see it,
Yeah.
so I see them as love languages, right? And so like if I see like if you think about the king and the queen, how they would love. So a queen of swords or a king of swords, how they would love their kid. This is just helps me kind of like understand and remember is that they would be a source of like wise, like they're wise, they're like Maya Angelou, they're just resilient, they're strong, and when they
Mhm,
speak you listen,
mhm.
right? Whereas a queen of cups or like it's going to be more like the empress, super nurturing, super loving, super affectionate, right? But they're all mom vibes, right? Because not all moms are affectionate,
Right.
you know?
Oh, that's true.
Right. And
Yeah.
so queen of pentacles, she's going to her love language is going to be
Transactional. Maybe.
A bad one, right? But also a good one would be someone who makes sure that your college is paid for.
Yeah, takes care of you financially.
Yeah, yeah. And then the Queen of Wands would be like, "You can do it,
Yeah,
go!" Like
supporting your
super supportive.
passion, supporting your stuff.
Yeah. So not literally, right?
Right, right.
But just getting the vibe. And so the way I would read this is there I because like the Two of Cups can be like two people coming together,
Right.
right? And so if I were to read this as a relationship, like there is somebody who is like-minded, who's very similar to you,
Mm-hmm.
that this could be the one. This could be,
Yeah, because
right?
y'all have shared passion.
Shared passions. However, you've got some burdens that you need to let go
10 of
of.
Wands is a burden?
I see it as a burden. He's got
Because I thought 10 was the end of the
It's the
journey.
end of the journey, and you have a choice. You can either drop the wands and like straighten up and walk, or you can say, you know what, let's finish this through. Let's take the wands all the way to the village. So, but either way, you're going to either have to drop something or just push through.
So you have to endure at that point.
Either
Or
endure or say, this is too much.
you're at a choice point.
You're at a choice point. And so it's the end, but it's not the end.
Right.
We're coming at the end. You can either drop, just
Yeah.
drop it,
You're at a choice point.
or
Or
follow through.
resilience. Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah. So, we have this relationship coming, right? But you might be too busy to.
Where's your passion at? Yeah.
Yeah,
You have the
you've been
passion
saying that you've been
relationship.
wanting a relationship, but you're working, 14-hour days.
Yeah.
So
Do you have the time for it?
do you have the time for it? So that kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? And then the King of Swords is like
Intellect.
it's intellect, but also
Dad energy, intellect.
yeah, it's kind of like the way I would read this is that, I would kind of go back to like, what does the soul want, right? Why are you working so hard? Why are you working those 14-hour days? What the King of Swords, like, he knows that he's protected. He knows like he's got the mental resilience to kind of go through everything. And here's something that you've been saying that you want. Now it's time to like be mentally strong enough to take it.
Right. To change your life.
To change your life.
To invite in this
Right.
thing that you say that you want.
Right. So
Or to maybe drop it and stop saying you want it.
right.
Which is, I get that from
Yeah.
that 10 of Wands.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is not
Not just, you're awesome too.
No, it's all
You're so
about like
good.
finding the story and
Yeah.
then
Finding the story in
finding the story.
cards.
And how do you find the story? Like it just comes to you.
From those spirit guides. And it's like improv and playfulness, but
Yeah.
also trusting your intuition.
Right. Because like if somebody says, "No, I don't want a relationship. I'm not looking for a relationship." You're like, "Oh shit." So but it doesn't have to be about another relationship. The Two of Cups could be, a like-minded best friend.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't
if you
have to
look
be romantic relationship.
right.
It's just relational, right? It's social.
Yeah, and so
Maybe it's a business partner.
she's the Empress. This is the Fool.
The Fool and the Empress are coming together.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to take it literally, but
Not romantically, but
right,
yeah.
but like there are different ways to kind of like look at this card, right? If it's not about two people coming together to smash, right?
Yeah.
It's it could be like
Maybe they got a new business, or maybe they got
with your best friend
your
or
best
something
friend,
like,
yeah.
and then like how do you make it successful? How do you be mentally strong for it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
We've been sitting with Linda O'Neill and being schooled on tarot and cartomancy a little bit.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. Phil Phails at Woo Woo Therapy once again.
Not really.
So excited. So excited to have you back and to learn so much from you. And thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for
so
having me.
much.
Yeah. Come and see me in my trailer.
I will. I'm going to come check it out.
Yeah.
Wave goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
And then let's think of can we do a couple tries at a hook?
Yeah, so
Can
do
you
I
think
look
of anything
do
now?
I look at the camera or you?
Yeah, let's look at one of the cameras.
Okay, so I'll just look at this camera, I
Yeah.
guess. But so yeah, Is tarot in conflict or in is tarot in conflict or in harmony with therapy?
Yeah.
Is it in conflict or in harmony?
Yeah.
Do they work together or not?
Let's try it together. I'll say, is tarot in conflict? And then you say, or harmony with tarot,
Okay.
with therapy.
Okay.
Okay. Is tarot in conflict or
In harmony.
with therapy?
Yeah,
Right?
it's in harmony.
If you watch this video, you'll find out.
Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, like
And
and subscribe.
like follow me.
And follow Linda. And if you've got an experience with tarot that you want to share, like leave it in the comments. I'm sure we would both like to hear
Yeah.
folks' stories
The
about.
good, the bad, the ugly.
Heck yeah. If you've got some other version of, what the Two of Cups means to you,
Mm-hmm.
let us know.
Yep. Sounds good to me. All right. See you later.
See you later. Peace, y'all.
Yep.
That was awesome. You crushed it.
Yeah.
You're so good.